A very, very warm welcome to this conference, which we have called Serbia's Journey of Hope from Student Protests to Political Change. And this is exactly what we tend to do to cover the student protests, to speak about the movement, how did we came where we are currently in Serbia, and to project ourselves into the future, into a future of potential political change. There's something monumental happening in Serbia currently. It is totally underreported in Western media. If you open the newspapers here around, you can't read anything almost about it, which is almost scary. And of course, there's something happening currently these days in Serbia that changes the tone just before a massive mobilization that is planned for Saturday. We have a very, very dense program, so won't talk a lot about the content. Let me just walk you through the program quickly, and then we get the ball rolling. We will start with a few welcome words by Laszlo Andor from FAPS and Kerstin Schönefeld from the Friedrich Ebert Stiftung. Afterwards, we will essentially have two debates, one on the student movement and its vision for the future of Serbia, and the other one on the question, is change actually possible in Serbia? Both, very important, will be followed by Q&A sessions. So very important, we need your participation. Get your questions ready. Just ask to the end of every round. We will get you in and we need your participation here. And we will end with a few closing remarks by Tonio Picula, MEP. So let's get the ball rolling. Secretary General of FAPS, Laszlo Andor, please, a very warm welcome. And the floor is yours. I have to give you the mic.
You're nothing without a mic. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for coming. I think Olaf is right. Probably this is the first FAPS event which is dedicated to a specific country, which is Serbia. Of course, it doesn't mean that we haven't had any discussion before. We had many discussions and events and studies, but normally we do it in the context of the Western Balkans. And normally it's not FAPS alone, but like this event also in partnership with the FAPS network. This event is in partnership with Friedrich Ebert Stiftung, which is a wonderful cooperation and looks back to many years. But on the case of the Western Balkans, which is a very important region of integration and hopefully in the future accession as well, we work with a number of FAPS organizations, member foundations, and think tanks. Just look at this study, which will be shortly available on our website. This is about Serbia's civic awakening. And if you look at it, there is a long list of FAPS member foundations from all different countries, Netherlands, France, even Finland, which demonstrate that it's not a small Brussels bubble which is interested in this topic. There is a wide range of progressives in different countries, which, thanks to FAPS, regularly visits the region. This is a product of a series which we have had in the recent years, since we indeed teamed up with this network, and every year we choose a country from the Western Balkans and another one from the European Union in order to mobilize experts, political activists, professors, but also a little bit the media, and very importantly, members of the European Parliament and members of national parliaments. I also welcome Mr. Pizzula from the European Parliament. He has his designated speaking time towards the end of this conference. But every time which we organize these Friends of the Western Balkans, we bring together the decision makers also, because there is a very important messaging role of what we do. We study, we analyze, but there's also an important role in messaging and sending a summary of our conclusions to the decision makers, whether it is the European Council sometimes, or the European political community, or similar ones. The latest one, some of you might have attended in Ljubljana. It took place in May. And I can also tell you already that we have a designated time already in November when we, with this group, will visit Serbia, probably not only one city, but two in order to dig deeper into the political analysis and indeed to see where this civic awakening is leading us. I think most of those who pay attention understand that the student protest, which has been ongoing for some time, might lead to significant political change, might be an energizer of democratization. I think to hold those in government accountable is absolutely fundamental in each and every country. But we also speak about candidate countries in this case. Also, Serbia is, as you know, a candidate country. And when we compare everything to the so-called Copenhagen criteria, things really become serious. And we need to go into the details. So let me just welcome you all on behalf of FEBS, and indeed hand over the microphone maybe back to Olaf, and you continue. Thank you.
Laszlo, thank you very much for your words, and thank you very much for the microphone, which of course I do need to get anything on board here. But it's not for me to speak a lot. Let me just call Kirsten Schönefeld, director of the Friedrich Ebert Stiftung's office in Belgrade, on stage. Kirsten, the floor is yours. The microphone too.
Thank you. Thank you, Olaf. Thank you, Laszlo Andor, for the opening words, and good afternoon. Also very welcome from Friedrich Ebert Stiftung, Belgrade office. It's my pleasure to welcome you here, and I'm very happy that we can hold this debate today in Brussels and bring not only the debate about the topics that have already been mentioned, the democratization, the new civic movement, the student protests to Brussels, but also to bring one of the students, to bring our precious partners from the political parties, Member of Parliament, Ksenia Markovic, Boko Stefanovic, from academia, from University of Belgrade, and from the NGOs. I believe everybody will be introduced. And also thank you very much to Member of European Parliament, Tonino Pizzola, to be with us. So I think this is very valuable, and our intention was to broaden this debate. So I'm really, really happy to see a full room here. And I would like to thank FEBS, Laszlo Andor, Hedwig Justo, and her team for this cooperation. You mentioned the group Friends of the Western Balkans, which is a broad consortium debating various topics concerning the Western Balkans. And the last meeting held in Ljubljana was really focusing on Serbia. And our idea was to, again, have a debate here, an open debate about the situation in Serbia. Olaf, you have mentioned there was, and in my understanding, there was in the beginning, especially in the beginning of the student protests in Serbia, but also up to the big protest in March, which you might all remember. More than 300,000 people were in Belgrade. It was really an impressive event, but at the same time, there was also the sound bombs, or sonic weapon, as you might call it, which was used, let's say. So I think there was a lot of debate around that time, and afterwards it became a little bit more quiet, if I may say, in the European public. But the situation has been further developing in Serbia. And yeah, we call this debate Serbia's Journey of Hope. And I still believe very much we are in this moment of hope. But at the same time, we have already mentioned we have another protest upcoming on this Saturday, on the 28th of June. There have been current events current also arrests in Belgrade yesterday, the day before yesterday. The reaction of the government towards the protest is becoming more and more strict. And I think there is also a lot of reason for being very cautious in this moment. So I believe Serbia really remains at the crossroads. I think this feeling that might have been there in the spring, that there would be a very fast change in Serbia, has not become true. But still, as I mentioned, I believe the country is at the crossroads, and I think will be discussed today how this way ahead will look like, what the role different actors will play in it. And yeah, once again, very welcome to all the panelists, all guests, and I wish us a good debate today. Thank you.
Kirsten, thank you very much. And you already alluded to this change of tone, which is really taking place in the last days in Belgrade, and there have been arrests, and there have been a lot of threats coming out. But that is part of what we want to debate in this first round, which is really about the students' movement and its vision for the future of Serbia. So what we're going to do here is taking stock a little bit of where we are and, well, as the title says, laying out the visions for the future. To do so, I invite our three speakers on stage. We have a representative of the students themselves, Alexa Popovic. Please, a very warm welcome to Alexa. I'm going to sit here and you all choose your seats freely. We have Alexa Popovic, Associate Professor at the Department. Oh my God, excuse me, I'm mixing everything up. This is exactly. we have Alexandra Kirstic, who is Professor at the Department of Journalism and Communication at the Faculty of Political Sciences in Belgrade at the university, right? Thank you very much. And we have a journalist at the European Western Balkans and researcher at the Center for Contemporary Politics, Sofia Popovic. Now, for starters, excuse me for mixing up names here. I have this thing that sort of just scrolls down and actually it doesn't really work. I should take paper the next time. Anyway, for starters, we agreed that we start with a round of questions on just how you assess the current situation. They're still working. Each of you, I would like to split this in two rounds. One rather coming and going, really good. Trying this, yes. The microphone seems to be the running joke of today's event. Anyway, I would like to split this round of your assessment of the current situation into two rounds. One rather about how did we come where we are now, about the history, but a little bit of the movement, and then your look rather into the future, and that is, of course, very much the next days in the run-up to Saturday. Alexa, maybe you start. What's your assessment of the entire student movements? What's the situation? How did it all start? And where do we stand currently? Well, actually, the idea was, but we have to set it.
Does it work? Okay, thank you. So, I mean, the protests in Serbia are going on for many years now. And when the tragedy hit in Novi Sad, we were all shocked and disappointed. And it's all a result of a corrupt government. So we, the younger generation, we are the future of Serbia. Our idea was to just put a spotlight on that incident and just say we can't accept this anymore. We want to make a change, and it's up to us to make that, because for many years the younger generation didn't want to talk about the politics, and I think it's very important, and I think there's a bright future for us because it's something that we talk about daily, and hopefully we can make a change. Young people are on the streets and we're going to stay there until our demands are fulfilled. So yeah.
Could you just say a few words on how the movement is organized and the main actions that have taken place?
Yes, so in faculties we have many work groups, communication, safety, donations. So we made a whole system how we need to act. So it's a very good organization, and because we needed it, a lot of things are happening, a lot of information. And as you know, there are many faculties in Serbia, and Belgrade, Novi Sad, Novi Pazar, Niš, and Kragujevac. So yeah, we're split into teams and we have some goals that we need to achieve. and anybody can take part in that. You just need to be a student, you need to be hungry for freedom, democracy, just to be motivated. And yet that's our structure. There is many more, but not to be too long. That's the main focus.
Thank you very. Thank you. Well, this is not working that much better. Thank you very much, Alexandra. Could you? The teaching staff, of course, has joined the movement. From your perspective, what's the current situation right now? Where do we stand?
I couldn't imagine to come to the EU and share the mic all around, but yeah, here we are. Yeah, thanks for the question. So, as from the university staff point of view and university professors, we have been standing along with our students from the first day, and we have supported the requests that they have been searching for from the government since the first day. But taken from my point of view, if you ask me, when did it start? Well, for me, it started when I was a student, and it was in the protests and back in the 1990s, when as students back then, and my students know that, and we share the same values now, we wanted to have a better future and a better government and better life. So I'm 46 now, and I think that we discussed yesterday that we have been on the streets for 30 years. And now I was a student then, and now I'm a university professor now. So we are still on the street. So just to get the picture, very plastic description, that's what has been going on. We have been living in a country fighting for better perspectives and future all the time, but we still have hope. And I really appreciate this kind of title that you get to this session. So this was like a very natural decision for us to stand by our students, because we know how important the academic support for the students' movement is. And to address that, currently we are, I think, in a very sensitive situation where we need a lot of support to get to that better future. And in our minds, it is envisioned like living in full democracy, not like in a how the Freedom House Index put us like a semi-free country or not partly free country. So we want to be a really full democracy, and we want to have our pillars of democracy fully respected. And when I say that, I mean on academic freedom and media freedom and respect for institutions. And this is the whole package that we are actually fighting for. So full support for our students. It's not always easy. It's very tough. And Alexa knows that. But for us as professors, we also have our take in this. This has been a long journey, and I think it's going to take some more time.
Thank you very much. And Sophia, as a journalist, our job is, of course, to observe things a little bit more, take from a distance. What's your assessment? Where do we stand currently?
So I would say that we are living now in some kind of peak of political crisis in Serbia, because we are living in the political crisis for more than 5 years now, I would say. And then, as Alexa said, we had a lot of protests before, but this time it's different, because we saw what can happen when institutions are corrupted and politicized. And unfortunately, 16 people died, and this time it was easier to connect tragedy with responsibility of the government, because it was clear that corruption is the reason why people died. And Alexander Vucic built his reputation as we are building Serbia, etc., etc. And I heard many times that people say, okay, we know that they are stealing money, they are corrupted, but still they are building. They cannot steal the whole road, So I think that everybody knew that they are responsible, and it was easier this time to mobilize people around this idea. And student movement had a good strategy with catch all and it was easier, as I said, to mobilize. So I would say that we are now in the process of learning the real nature of this government, because people asked just for accountability and transparency, and the response was repression. And I would say that this time captured state responded harshly than ever. Maybe we can speak later about this, but yeah, for the beginning it would be enough, I think.
Thank you very much, Sophia. Coming to the second round, I announced rather zooming in on the days right now where we stand, and that is very much 2 days before this big manifestation, before this big mobilization. For those in the room who might not know what is planned, Alexa, first perhaps starting with just an explanation, what is planned and why is it so important?
Well, first of all, the date is 28th, as you said, and it's planned to be in the capital of Serbia, in Belgrade. So we're asking and inviting all the people from Serbia to come to Belgrade and just to show numbers. And we want to make it known to the world that there is more of us, and we want to make a change. And hopefully, and I think it's going to be that, not violently, because these protests from the beginning to now, they were always peaceful. But you can see the government is pretty much scared now, and the pressure is quite tense because they started arresting students. I mean, these are just people who are 19, 20, 21. And my close friend, we were on a march from Shabac to Belgrade. It's like 120 kilometers. We were walking by foot. I think it was 3 days. He got arrested and accused of terrorism. So it's demotivating that the government thinks that we are doing something like that and we want to make a positive change. This is not a movement against one person, it's a movement against the whole system, and we want to change the mindset of people. We don't need a cult person, we need a whole system to believe in institutions, to have free media, to have rule of law. And hopefully that friend that I mentioned, he got out today, he's on house arrest, so that's a good thing. But I mean, to imprison a student for terrorism, the repression is huge. And I hope, and hopefully we all students think that after the 28th, that's not going to happen again. And we can make it some change because people want to see a change. You can see on the streets how many people are coming. So yeah, hopefully the 28th is going to be a time where we can make a change. There are some plans that are public, some plans are not public. I can't talk about that for obvious reasons. So yeah, hopefully we can make a change that day.
Thank you very much. Very notably, the word is out, terrorism. So that is what you guys are accused of, and that is, of course, it sets the tone for the relations the government plans to entertain with this movement currently, and that is, of course, a step further in the repression. Alexandra, your assessment of the current situation, zooming in really on this very moment where we are now.
Okay, so Alexa said time to make change. I think that the change has already been made. They have highlighted what has been going on. They have already made the change, big contribution to what has been happening to Serbia in the past decade. So I would remind you, I was just thinking about one of the greatest political cartoons that one of our greatest political cartoonists drew a couple of years ago, and it was called Serbia is Sleeping. And it was shown a country, like a geographically visual kind of, Serbia as a geographical space, sleeping like a woman sleeping, and everybody else as people were trying to awaken it. So this is what has been going on in the past 8 months. Students marching for hundreds and hundreds of kilometers throughout Serbia, talking to door to door, having the best ever, you can imagine, campaign of talking to people, getting ordinary people out of their homes. Because you know why? Because the mainstream media in Serbia, especially TV stations, are under so much control that what you see on TV is not what you see on streets. So they were knocking on doors, knocking on windows of people's homes, getting those people out and telling them, hey, we have been fighting for something that you don't get to see on TV. So what Alexa said are just, I would say back to basics. So what we are talking about is something that seems very normal to you, like a part of your everyday life. But for us, it's something which is yet to be, I don't know how to say, tek treba to da osvojimo. We are just getting there, we have to fight for that. And this is the rule of law, this is the media freedom, this is the academic freedom, and the things which are guaranteed by law and by the constitution, but we don't simply see that. So zooming in, I think that the change has already been made, that people who have had hopes for the 15th of March and who are hoping that something is going to happen in 2 days is just the wrong way to think about that. We should think about making the system different and thinking about how are we going to set these things and to make them basics for something that is yet to come. And think about that as something which is called, I don't know, post-apocalyptic Serbia, or this kind of way that is going to happen anyway. And we are all in it together. Like, we need to keep this unity, especially because between professors and students. This is the most important thing. And then people have, of course, recognized that and supported the students' fight in this.
I need to talk in between because everything is recorded, and so my questions have to be recorded. I need to speak into the microphone. Sofia, if the future Serbia is a post-apocalyptic one, I conclude that the current one is an apocalyptic one. In your words, where do we stand currently, zooming into this run up to Saturday's mobilization? Really?
I would like to speak about some concrete examples of repression. And as I said, we are somehow learning the real nature of this government, because we are all know that are ready to do anything just to stay in power. So Serbia is now again a country of political prisoners. I would like to remind you that 6 people are still in home custody, and some of them are in exile.
No? Okay.
Okay. So as I said, Serbia is a country of political prisoners and exiles. And Ana Brnabić, Speaker of the National Parliament, said today, of course, sure, we will continue with arresting of students and opposition politicians, because one of the opposition politicians yesterday was also arrested. It's interesting because while students and activists are being prosecuted for the terrorism, for example, Milan Radojcic is still free, and the state authorities have no intention of prosecuting him because of the Banjska case. Despite the fact that they promised that to the European Union. It's the same case with those responsible for the collapse of the canopy. So after 8 months, there is no single indictment has been filed against responsible. So we are also a country of mass surveillance, and the country use very sophisticated softwares, domestic and foreign software to surveil the activists and opposition politicians, journalists, etc. So we have our Novi Spy software, but also Pegasus is used in many times. Pro-government tabloids then receive recordings, photos, and personal information of activists and politicians and journalists. And for example, the main tabloid Informer, which is largely financed by the state budget, wished us a safe trip to Brussels with an article claiming that we came here to, together with Mr. Picula, to hate Serbia, etc., etc. We saw that our government is ready to use sonic weapon against our citizens. peacefully get rid citizens, and of course nobody is responsible. There is no any investigation. We just have a report from KGB that everything is okay. We have also seen that the authorities are ready to misuse police and prosecution to raid in the offices of civil society organizations. We also have arrests based on social media posts. I would like to mention situation in media. So it's horrible, and I have some data here. So over the past 6 months, the number of attacks on journalists has increased. According to the Independent Journalist Association of Serbia, NUNS, since they started recording attacks on journalists, the worst year was 2020 with 195 reported incidents. In the first 6 months of this year, NUNS recorded 135 incidents, including 19 physical attacks and 79 serious threats, which include death threats. In addition to that, journalists are also exposed to financial pressure, as we have now a case with Euronews Serbia, which is very interesting. So we, as Alexandra said, we now that the government is ready to, destroy university and its autonomy. So the picture of the situation in Serbia is really dark, and I would say that we are living, this moment is very important. So maybe we will start the process of decapturing of our institution, or we can go in completely wrong direction.
Sophia, thank you very much. Very, very gloomy assessment, of course. Dark situation, apocalyptic situation. We have heard. We plan to open like exactly now to your questions from the audience, but there is the vision for the future in the title of the debate. I would like to just take a few minutes. The vision of the future for the future, and that of course entails like what is asked for in this mobilization on Saturday. What are you going to the streets for?
Okay, so by now it's very clear that we want to change the system, and in the beginning the students weren't thinking in a political way, because we thought the government would hear us, would see us, and would see the people on the streets that are unhappy. And we didn't want the snap elections because we were asking for something that should be normal and just standard. So our fight kind of changed directions. So one of the main demands on the 28th till 9 p.m. is gonna be that we want snap elections. So it's in the delegation of the president of Serbia. Yeah.
May I interrupt you immediately? Until 9 p.m. meaning what happens at 9 p.m.? What's your scenario?
Okay, so demands are gonna be until 9 p.m. What is gonna be after, I'm not entirely sure, because we still are making plans and programs. But it's gonna be civil. It's gonna be safe. We're gonna make sure we the students. It's gonna be peaceful. So yeah, there is one more demand, because we have fake students, as you know, in the city center. They're like a human shield for National Assembly. I think that's the correct word, National Assembly. And the people of Belgrade and Serbia are unhappy, because these fake students in city center, they are 40 years old, 50 years old. They put camps there. They're always empty, because I'm young. I go out, of course, and when I go near the campus, it's empty. There's no people. A comic thing happened in the camp where the people are supposed to sleep. There was parked a car in the shade. So I mean, it's all for propaganda, and we want to move that human shield, and hopefully we can do that peacefully. So yeah, these are the two demands of students and the people, and yeah, hopefully they're gonna fulfill it. If not, we have some other plans that are gonna take part. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much. If you agree, I would straight away open to questions from the audience. If there are already ones, please do take advantage of the fact to have the three here and raise your hands if there are any questions. Yes, the lady in the blue shirt here. Hopefully the microphone is working.
Hopefully.
Fingers crossed.
So thank you very much for
Can you
this.
just say your name?
Yes, I'm
like-
Sara Canali and I'm doing a PhD at Ghent University. And since we're in Brussels, my question is focused on the EU. First of all, I was very impressed by what you did. I mean, the movement did, doing the run until Brussels, protesting in Place du Luxembourg, meeting the commissioner. So my question is mostly to Alexa. How have you seen the involvement of the EU, and what do you think we could do better or we should do better to support you? Yeah.
So Alexa, that's a question for you, of course.
Okay, thank you. And that's an important topic to talk about today because we want to spread the message, because we as students feel that it's kind of a hands-off approach from the European Union, and we don't have a clear statement about the movement, students' movement in Serbia. And if they're really fighting and have an idea what is democracy, what is free media, that is something that symbols the European Union, I think they should support the movement even more, spread the message. What can you do better? I mean, you have a lot of tools of pressure that you can make. It's something we as students just can't do, because I think we did it all. I mean, we've been to every part of Serbia. We've been to almost whole of Europe. We were walking. We were on bicycles. I mean, we did everything, and the support from Europe is honestly lacking. So that's something that needs to be done better. And as we were speaking soon before this, you can't read daily about the students movement in any European press. I mean, you can get some glimpses of what's happening, but I think this is a huge movement. I think this is the biggest movement in Serbia we've ever seen. So it needs more coverage, and I'm thankful that we as students got the opportunity to talk about it and for our voice to be heard.
Alexa, thank you very much. Any other questions already right now? Yes, please. Here, the lady in the second row.
Is this? Yes, or it is already on. Thank you for being here, and to FEPS and everyone else who's involved for organizing this. By the way, my name, yes, I'm supposed to say it, is Laura Shukarova-Aisher. I'm an Austrian trade unionist, so my perspective on what's been happening in Serbia has been, on the one hand, of course, looking at how can we get working standards in Serbia to a level that's EU, that's I don't want to say good enough, because we have so many issues here as well, but to improve it. And then another question I've been asking myself, and I have been, it was difficult to follow all you've been doing, and I've had to go to Serbian news outlets and try to translate them and then explain, and then also think of what maybe are those outlets not mentioning for an international reader to understand. And I'm wondering whether you could tell me something about how you're organizing in Serbia with other existing structures and organization. How is your cooperation, say, with older and newer trade unions? How do you try to get in touch with working people? Because at some point, even the students will graduate. And then this form of organizing in faculties will be much more difficult than it is now. And how are you trying to facilitate taking these ideas, these great ideas and the great work, into your later life and those who are already now in a later stage in their life?
which again is a question to you, Alexa.
So you mentioned unions and workers. So we had some plans with unions in Serbia, and that's a big job. I think maybe it's too huge of a bite for students because the cooperation between unions it wasn't very good for many years. We convinced them to sit at a table and talk, and we didn't come to maybe the best decisions or solutions, but we put them to a table, and it's something to think about and talk about maybe in the future. Also, as you mentioned, we're gonna finish our studies. We're not gonna be students anymore. Hopefully, me soon. We asked the people of Serbia to make assemblies. It's like a local movement where everybody can get together, and like from the same city, neighborhood. So yeah, that was a big thing for us because a lot of people that are from the same neighborhood, they got a sense of unity, solidarity, and they helped us a lot. They give us financial support, they give us food, they make protests, and it's nice to see your neighbors from big buildings. We don't know each other, but when the assemblies like got together, you sense so much more unity from people that are not in the student movement, and they were so eager to take part. So I think the biggest win was to make these assemblies, and hopefully in the future they're gonna stay, and we as ex-students, professors, and workers and anybody can join, and we can continue our fight when this is all over. But and I think it's very important because this is a long-term fight. This is not gonna end in a year, 2, 5. We need to change the system. It's not only the government, the system, the mindset of people is wrong, and it's gonna take a lot of years to change that. So hopefully in the future we can make a change by these assemblies, and we can have a feeling of unity even in 5 to 10, 20 years.
That's a long future. Thank you very much. Building up on that question and your answer, Alexandra, is we called this in our own title a student movement, but is it still, or is it rather become a citizens movement?
Well, you're right. It has become a citizens movement. I mean, led by students, of course, and genuinely their movement. But a lot of people supported. And you have asked about the workers in unions and people working in the agriculture, or lawyers, or really different structures of the population have supported. We have had even lawyers on strike for a month. They didn't work. They supported students in that kind of way. So it was a big deal. Or professors who also went on strike, or parts of our faculties belonging to the Belgrade University who are still on strike, under strike. Yeah. So these are different ways of fight that has been shown up there. And a lot of artists and actors and a lot of people from culture and different fields have supported the students. So now getting on the street, we have seen that on the 15th of March of how many people were there, and people from all over Serbia. So the one thing that you should understand is, and what students have actually achieved, is that it's not centralized anymore into the Belgrade and into the capital itself. It has decentralized all over the country. And apart from Belgrade protesting, there are tons and dozens of different smaller citizens' villages which are actually protesting every day against something, so, or for something, fighting for something, like let's fight for justice, let's raise our voice, let's do this. So the students' movement have inspired the whole citizen movement. We have had, of course, that in the past. We have had a lot of failures, but I think that it's time that we learned on our mistakes from the past.
Thank you very much. And now I have an own microphone. Wow. And I still wanted to build up on another thing you said long-term fight. You mentioned years, decades ahead. Sophia, what is your vision for the time to come? Also tying back to the title of this, the vision for the future. If we are not speaking only about snap elections. We're talking about changing a system. We're talking about something that will take a long time. What is your assessment on where could this lead, and what is required to change to actually take place?
Yeah, I think that the student movement, citizens movement now has achieved a lot, but sometimes results of these movement and protests are sometimes underestimated or overlooked because we still don't have a political change. But I think that the students achieved two very important things. First, they managed to mobilize young people to engage in politics, and I think that young people are now ready than ever before to participate. And according to survey conducted by National Youth Council of Serbia COMS, 91% of young people would vote on the next parliamentary election compared to 71% last year.
And which, even by European standards, is
that's
wow.
great. Yeah, and same survey shows that 63% of young people in Serbia believe that democracy is the best form of the government compared to 37% last year. So that positive shift is a result of this movement and students' initiatives, and that's huge potential. And according to some calculations, on some next parliamentary elections, we will have 3% of completely new voters that will have a voter right. So sometimes we forget also that not just university students, but also high school students are engaged in this movement. So it's a huge potential. Second important thing, student movement, I would say, has initiated the process of rebuilding broken social bonds. Because Serbian Progressive Party not just captured institutions, but they made a lot of damage to the society itself. So students managed to change completely atmosphere in the society. We saw that citizens joined them, and that citizens want to take a part in rebuilding its own society. And I think it's a really positive for the future of democracy, and it's only time when we'll see a political change. But in my point of view, that's a really important and positive moment.
Sophia, thank you very much. I think there's two aspects that are very, very difficult, very, very important. One is to really focus on the sociology of a society that is living in these conditions and what it means. And the other one is that there is I'm hesitating a little bit to use that word, but there is a process of healing starting within the student movement. We still have a few minutes. The gentleman here in the 1, 2, 3rd row has a question, and soon. No, you need to speak into the microphone, because not only we have the best microphones in the world, as somebody who wears long red ties would say, but also because it's recorded. It's the best in the world.
Brings me to the question. I understand you have a presidential system. Elect the president directly.
No, we don't. No, we don't.
Okay, then my question is answered.
We do elect.
Which gives space for more questions. There is a gentleman in the almost in the 2nd row from the back, and afterwards somebody here.
Oh my God, my microphone!
Thank you so much. My name is Georgi Christosov. I consider myself a friend of the Balkans. My question pertains to something that was mentioned during the introduction and that the panelists also brought up, which is media coverage of these protests. In Western media, at least, one of the reference points that is frequently given is this is the largest, most sustained anti-government movement since the one that brought down Milosevic a long time ago. If my math is correct, the current generation of student activists were not born. they probably don't have any knowledge or definitely don't have any memories of the socioeconomic and political situation at the time. I would contend that for that generation of activists that brought down Milosevic, even at the time, this was seen as an inflection point, as a watershed moment and an opportunity for Serbian society to break free from authoritarian rule, from Yugoslav power structures emerging from a decade of warfare into the 21st century. My question is, what are the factors and the motivations that allowed sort of the pendulum to swing back towards authoritarianism, that allowed Serbian society, well, Vucic, the Srpska Narodna Stranka, to see solidify its grip on power? Is the lesson of Milosevic so quickly forgotten, and is that something that every generation will have to learn going forward?
I'm trying to rephrase, and please correct me if I'm wrong. This is about the pendulum swinging. Essentially, there were people bringing down authoritarianism, and look where we are now. How did that happen, right? Yeah. Is that an academic question for you, Alexander?
Absolutely. Thank you for your question. So the factors. So there was a window of opportunity a couple of years after the 5th of October of 2000, after the fall of Milosevic, when the first years of democratization of Serbia were pretty hard, but pretty good. So we have had a hope of reforms and things that we hope that the things would change. But in 2003, our firstly democratically elected prime minister was assassinated in front of the government building. And I graduated from the faculty only 10 days after that event. So the window of opportunity of democratization and democracy brings a good institutional memory that you can actually make some things better. My student Alexa was born in 2005. 2002. So he was born in democracy. So if you ask them, they have institutional memory through their professors, through us, through their parents, and everybody else. So the factors of what happened with democracy, it actually declined, it was flawed, and there is a huge responsibility on all the governments that were in the power since the year 2000. So we can learn a lot from the authoritarianism and autocratization and everything else. What is wrong is to compare the two regimes, because the contexts are completely different. And the role of the Serbian government back then and now, we have had a lot of governments and a lot of opposition parties breaking down, falling apart, building up, etc., etc. But you have to understand the context now, when the resources and the power are completely on one side, and on the other side of this movement, you have students, you have honest people, you have the truth, you have no media coverage because all the media are under control of the regime. So you have the complete, what would be in political theory and political science would say, an uneven playing field. That is what is happening right now. And this is the true picture in Serbia. If you want to compare it, imagine an uneven playing field where everything is on one side and there are just, people and the potential of hope on the other.
Alexander, thank you very much. There is a gentleman here in the second row for the last question, because we're already over time. We started a little bit over time also. Huh?
Thank you. I will try to keep it short.
Well, also, it's about the answer, not the question. Huh?
My name is André de Munter. I'm desk officer for Bosnia Herzegovina and Turkey in the European Parliament, but also closely following Serbia and Kosovo. First of all, I apologize for arriving late, 20 minutes. It was unavoidable and pre-announced, so I missed Sofia and Alexandra probably, and the first one that I could listen to was Alexa. First of all, Chestitam, congratulations to you and all the non-Chatsiland students for everything that you have already achieved. You mentioned the, to put it mildly, slow reaction from the EU. I mean, of course, we have to differentiate EU. It's different institutions. I myself, I'm a staff member of European Parliament. As you know, some individual MEPs have been very vocal and very engaged. Of course, they enjoy their own individual freedom as elected representatives. There is the experience with the visit of Antonio Costa, who apparently did not realize which country he was visiting because he didn't mention the students' movement at all, at least as far as we know, or maybe behind closed doors. My question to you would be, we also have the EU delegation there on the ground, which we tend to call here in Brussels our eyes and ears on the ground. It is a very big delegation. My question to you would be what I will not use the word like cooperation or whatever, because this could be cut, but what is your interaction and experience with the EU delegation in Belgrade? Thank you.
Which is another one for you, Alexa.
Okay. Yes, sorry. So you said congratulations, and I can say the job is not done. So we're not near the end. So, and to answer your question, I mean, this is a student movement. We want to bring people of Serbia together. And if any delegations from any part of the world want to contribute or want to share a message, they're welcome. But we need to realize that this is our fight. It's internal. The students, the professors, the workers, the unions. So help would be nice to share and spread the message, which why today we are here. But cooperation, meetings, or something like that, you need to understand that we are students. We are not politicians. So we need to stick to that, and our movement needs to be politically clean, to say. So yeah, we don't want influence. We want the help and to spread the message, but this is our fight, and we are only students. Yeah, so just to remember, it's a bunch of kids, 18 to 25, trying to make a big change. So yeah.
Well, thank you very much. And we're coming to the end of this round of debate. So please, a very warm applause to all three. And thank you very much for coming here to Brussels in these important days, for your time, for your presence here and all your input. And hopefully we continue the discussion just after this event at the reception afterwards. Thank you so much. And without losing any time, because time is running short, of course, let me call on stage the International Secretary of the Democratic Party of Serbia, Ksenia Markovic. Please, a very warm welcome. And equally an MP, the Deputy Chairman of the Party of Freedom and Justice, Borko Stefanovic. And I will not lose any time to announce you, because, Alexa, you stay just on this panel as the representative of the student movement. Same rules of the game, actually, starting with a little bit of an assessment of the current situation. Where do we stand from your perspective? And both your perspectives are, of course, politicians' perspectives, which is another take on the situation. Ksenia, if you could start. Best microphones in the world.
Okay, thank you. Well, the situation in Serbia today is tense, very tense, but also full of hope. What we are witnessing is not just a political crisis. In Serbia, we have a crisis of values and a crisis of legitimacy also. The capture of institutions, erosion of the rule of law, democracy, everything that it is actually happening in Serbia on everyday level have targeted a powerful civic awakening in Serbia, led by students, and that's the most important thing. From the beginning, the Democratic Party has recognized this as a turning point. We endorse their right to protest, students' right to protest. That we try to support them and to protect them when they were attacked on the streets. And also we support their demands openly and unconditionally. In this moment, Serbia is choosing actually between fear and dignity. And we as a party, we have chosen to stand on the side of the dignity. And I think that's very important because, as you heard, is not just to change the government and to change the ministers. Is actually, this is the fight for the freedom, for democracy, and fight for another system.
Thank you very much. Same question, Barko. Where do you stand from your perspective? Both of you, of course, are also looking at the country from the inside of the parliament.
Well, thank you. And I don't know if this one dies, just keep on sending them. We will keep on using
best in the world, I tell you.
Yeah. We can tell. So I think that right now it looks like this regime and this government is like something Americans call lame duck government or regime, lame duck regime. So it means that the demise is there. We don't know exactly when, and we don't know how it will develop. I think that the students and this, along with the citizens, of course, students in front of the citizens of our country have performed something that could be called like a moral social revolution, peaceful. And it was a grand awakening. We needed that in Serbia. But of course, the whole thing will conclude in a political way, which means that we would need some sort of at least semi-normal and free elections in which we can close the story of, destruction, death, violence, and corruption in Serbia led by this current regime. It's not easy because Mr. Vučić and his government, they're also aware that even semi-normal and free democratic elections means their inevitable demise from power. So they will do everything to postpone it now, which is kind of odd, knowing that Mr. Vučić used to call for snap elections all the time. And we can call it elections, but they were not really elections in Serbia, because in order to have elections like you have in European Union or in Belgium, you have to have freedom of the media, you have to have a normal, clean register of the voters. We don't have those things in Serbia. So please bear in mind, when you are running against this guy, he leads at least 20% in front of you. So the gap is huge. And what is now happening in Serbia is actually that these days, as we speak, we are finding the way out of this situation. I think it's really important to send not only the message of hope, but actually how we're going to do this. And actually the unity coming all together, bringing everybody on board in this united front will bring us closer to the situation in which this regime will finally become ugly past of our country and our region. And finally, Serbia to have the rule of law, freedom of the media, free and fair elections, and to continue proudly along with its neighbors in the region, but also on our path to European Union.
Barko, I need to pick you up on one thing you said very early in your short introduction. The lame duck. A duck is, of course, not an animal that is very, very, very harmful. A lame duck, even less. Is that really a good description for a government which is ramping up repression in the run-up to Saturday?
Well, lame duck in a way that it's gone, but it's still not formal and it's still not in full reality. Everyone knows it. He knows it. The biting, the scratching, the kicking, the violence, the unacceptable brutality and arrest of innocent people and innocent students, and the continual 13-year-long smear campaign against anyone who dares to speak against the regime, anyone, which doesn't include only opposition, political opposition, is something that we are, let's say, adjusted to. But this is the new face, and you're right. The new face of the regime is actually the old original product, which you all know from the 90s. These are the real Serbian Radical Party. These are the people who are saying things to the students, to the opposition, to the academia, to the NGOs, that we are terrorists, fascists, Nazis, Ustaše, which is something that is a really, really
very close to
insulting,
Nazis, yes.
To anyone who is anti-fascist in our region. And I have to say that depersonalization, dehumanization of students of the political opposition is an overall process that now has its culmination. So Aleksandar Vučić is just Aleksandar Vučić, which means that he's Vojislav Šešelj 2.0. I mean, people know it. In the same time, concerning the foreign affairs and international relations, he's trying to be Josip Broz Tito from AliExpress. So he's sending you nice lip service from Temu. Yeah, thank you. Or simply, this is not a commercial. And simply trying to...
All the best mics in the world.
Yeah. Simply trying to give you a nice lip service. And we have a big problem with the European Commission. I have to say this.
Say it.
We are really, really grateful, extremely grateful to all the voices of support, to all the acts of solidarity, to situations in which our friends all over Europe said the truth when we needed it. I know it's hard. I know we have world in turmoil. We have Russian aggression on Ukraine. We have Gaza. We have now Israel and Iran, but European Parliament was and is a beacon of conscience, of, it's a clean cheek of this union. Not only and especially first and foremost our social democratic comrades, but also people from liberal, fraction, but also from the Greens. We all have to say big thank you to all of these people because they were not just standing idly.
Borko, there's a but coming. Go for the but.
Exactly. And the problem is that we need to send a really strong message. Aleksandar Vučić will continue piling up the papers, formalities, trying to provoke this pathological formality in European Commission because he understands the nature of bureaucracy. And he will continue throwing papers to you as a proof that actually we have rule of law, freedoms, media reforms, and commissioners actually are falling for that. I think it's a disgrace because there is no implementation. There is nothing like that in the real world. Actually, it's like this guy politically is mocking European Union after the Red Square. He's mocking European Union after European Commission didn't say anything harsh to his regime after these so-called reforms that are purely only paper reforms. So this is something that we should work more on and we should change it. Sorry if I was too extensive.
Thank you very much. You guys are politicians. Of course you are extensive. That's your job. Anyway, the title of this round is Change Possible in Serbia, and one could put two different adjectives. There is political change possible, is social change possible, and many more adjectives. But having you sitting here, you three now, let's speak about politics, and we need to talk about you guys. Three of you are sitting here. We talk together. My question essentially is, do you normally talk together? How is the students' movement positioned towards opposition parties, towards parties and politics anywhere, in any sense?
So to be short, are we talking? No, because we feel like this is our moment and the opposition had its time to maybe make a change. We had a big opportunity for them when it was Serbia against violence. I think it was 2 years ago. Correct me if I'm wrong. So we feel that we need to do this alone because we are the new generation. We are the future of Serbia. And for now, there was no communication between the students and the opposition, to be honest. They tried to make communication, but I think that's why our movement was so powerful, and it got so much support because we didn't want any politics in this movement, and we wanted to do it alone. Maybe in the future times will change. I'm really not sure, and I can't speak on behalf all of the students. But in politics, never say never. But for now, uh, we listen to the people. We listen to our parents. We listen to the workers, and everybody wanted for this to be a pure student movement. And I think strategically it gave us popularity, and by doing so we were independent, and no one can say, oh, you're under the influence of this ideology, this political party, because um, we can't be divided by ideology, by political theories, by political ideas. We just want to make a change for the better. And if we collide with the opposition, the government can do that. And it's another reason to divide us and separate us. So for now, it's better for us just to have no communications, to do it alone with our professors, with the people of Serbia, with workers. So for now, that's it.
There are several debates in there about political strategy, of course. There could be a debate about, there are different motivations to go into politics. One among them is, of course, to make a change for the better. So anyway, you are calling for snap elections. You are investing the political ground. So what's your take here? Like, who are people to vote when the snap elections take place?
Yes, so as I mentioned, in the start, there was no political agenda because we asked something that we thought was normal and standard in normal countries, but as we know, our government is not that. So we need to make a political change, and we're making a students list. It's going to be a combined of people that have no political history, and we want to have people that have a clean slate. And these are public figures that have the support of the people. So we have a metric. All of the faculties and universities in Serbia have their candidates. And in time, when we get the snap elections, we will make that list public. But for now, the elections in universities and faculties are ongoing. But yeah, we are trying to make a political change, but we're trying to do it free of politics, if you can understand me. I know it's not maybe possible, but we already made some historic changes, historic numbers. So I think we can change history again.
Hopefully. Ksenia, there is the moment in Serbia happening right now, to the moment of hope. And that's pretty much the title of our today's conference here. To change things. You dedicate your political career to change things. How does it feel to essentially be told by the main actors that, we don't really need you that much, perhaps? Or like how and you will be running against the student list in the snap elections. How does that feel?
No, for the Democratic Party, that would not be the case to run against the student list. That I can tell that for sure. I know it is a tricky question because you want to win on the political ground on the elections without political parties. But I think it is a very simple interpretation of the event. It's not like that. It's not necessary just to have the joint list. You need a lot of more of that. You need to have alignment, very strong alignment on different things. So I think that we can make some kind of the cooperation, and I think now the opposition really need to be must rise to the occasion by offering full logistical, political, human support and respecting the legitimacy to form the list actually now have the students and academic community. Why? Because they have the highest support led by the citizens. So what is the role of the opposition in this part? That is very, very tricky question. Our mine party, Democratic Party, has very clear stand on that, because we said, okay, we can withdraw and we will support the student and students list and their candidates in the campaign with logistic, everything that we can. And it's for us, it's not necessary if we have the consensus that that is the best solution for the society and for the country. For us, it is not the problem not to be the part of the list. It's very important. It is very sensitive moment, and it is very important that every pro-democratic actor find their role and play it with responsibility. That is very, very important. Especially this is important for the opposition. So I think it's not. Let's not just talk about the list and who is on the list. Let's talk how to win. Because I'm in the opposition and I'm putting everything on the ground because I want to win this regime. I don't, my party, Democratic Party, and me personally, we don't have ambition to be the biggest opposition party. No, that's not it's not in my mind. In my mind is only to be them. I want them to be the part of the past. And if then it's necessary not to be on the list, okay, for me, it's fine. I will not be on the list. But if that is the consensus and agreement among the main actors in the society, but the biggest I think that this historical movement that we have, student movement, it is very important. But also we know that we don't live in an illusion. We have a very, very long way in the future and very much to do, and also how to win the regime. Well, I think we have several ways. I think there is no only one way, and actually, student movements showed that you don't need a leader. You just need a good organization, and you need a good campaign. And when we are talking about campaign, student movements actually had a very, very good communication in very closed media space and political space. Very good communication with the public. And Borko is right. It is some kind of social and moral revolution. Yes, that's why they're always talking about changing the system. But for the changing the system, we need to change the government, the ruling regime. That's the fact. And we just need to find what is the best way to do it.
Just quickly, I need Borko's stance on that. But yes. Oh, exactly. Let's do that. Borko, you. I think Alexa will answer both of you afterwards. But Borko, you too, you want a different Serbia. The different Serbia is closer than ever in the last years. And you have to figure out your role in this. How does that feel?
Well, it feels great. No, I'm kidding. It's this reminds me when I listen to some things concerning the overall struggle for democratic European Serbia for 13 years. There is this meme, like Mel Gibson and Jesus, and of course you understand who the Jesus is. It's obviously Serbian opposition for 13 years of struggle. And of course, this is one thing. The other thing is that we agree all, as you can see, there is an open debate and it will continue. It will take months, but we will get there. Why we will get there? Because any other option is complete disaster for this country and our future, for his future and his kids' future. So I think that, we need to figure out what's the best modus operandi, what's the best way to win over this regime, and of course to be realistic. And of course, to understand what is Serbia really about and how people are intoxicated with controlled media for 13 years. There are many people, and I would say more than probably, I won't make a mistake, more than 38% of the people who believe that students are Western mercenaries or the people who are organizing colored revolution and the terrorists. So you understand, it's not like an open debate, democratic media space in which you can go out and talk about your policies, your program. No, it doesn't exist. Any particularism, political particularism in Serbia is right now obsolete, because this is about survival. This is about alternative. This is about air. When you grasping for your air, you don't talk about, the color of my tie. So basically, we believe that, and the numbers are actually pretty substantial and pretty pressing and telling, in which that we need a full unity, and we need something that can be read as a front. And I don't want to use the word list. I hate it myself, but listen, if we stray away, if we have these things which we had so many in our past, it will be a disaster, and we cannot afford it. A gentleman asked whether we have a presidential system, since we are electing president directly in the elections. Yes, we do elect him directly in the elections, but as I said, in these elections, most people are pressured to vote, and most people are intoxicated with the media, and we cannot call it really free elections. But it's a system that is parliamentary system in which one person decides about everything, but it's not really written. And we have a lot of laws, we have a lot of strategies and nice papers for Brussels, but actually they mean anything. So what we need, and I will finish with this, what we need is a unity. What we need is finally to understand that our personal sense about something or someone is absolutely tertial. It's secondary. I mean, we cannot move anywhere with this attitude. And basically, political space is something in which students have finally boldly stepped into. It doesn't mean that it's party politics, but it's politics. We have to change our country. We have to reveal it. We have to take it away from mafia. We have proven now connections between Vucic and his brother and organized crime in dealing with cocaine. And it was in some media in Serbia, but no one resigned. Imagine living in such a country.
Borko,
Take a microphone
thank you.
once
You're a
more.
politician, you need to talk extensively.
giving
I
this
know that. And I have a very short question again for you. It's a yes and no question. It's a little bit in your face, but will your party run against the students' list, yes or no?
I don't see us. No, actually, there will be no running against anyone in the elections when they come, and they won't be happening I believe, before 2026.
I love it. This was a yes or no
Well,
question.
what is a yes and no in life, John?
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Alexa, you wanted to react. You have to react. I mean, that's what you're there for.
To this answer, I mean,
both.
Okay, Mr. Stefanovic is a politician, so you can say yes or no. You need to see the conditions first. So I respect that question. But it's a clear stance maybe in this moment about the student movement, so that's also important. So when we talked about the elections, first of all, the students want to make that list, and those candidates on the list are gonna have a political clean slate, and we're taking into mind the opposition in the future, because we can call this maybe a technical government. It's gonna be like 16 to 18 months. We're gonna work on fulfillment of the student demands. We're gonna try to make better conditions for future elections. So we need free elections, we need fair elections, and that's what we are gonna try to do. And for now, we don't need opposition for that, because after that 18 months or 20 months, I don't know what the timeline would be, it would be an even playing field. So everybody can go, the people can choose whatever they like, what ideology they want to see in power, in government. So I think maybe students are trying to solve this in a long term, and I see the arguments from the opposition, and they want to make like a unity with students, but this is our vision for now. This is our stance. We think this is for the best. And when we talked about it in public, I mean, people are agreeing with us. So, and just one moment, I wanted to reflect on the question earlier. What can the European Union do better? I mean, we got this invite to Brussels, and we were talking that it's important to talk about these topics in public. And the day after that, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know, the European Parliament or Union, they put Rio Tinto as a strategic plan for the future. European Commission. So that's highly problematic, because people of Serbia don't want lithium to be dug out. I mean, Western Serbia is very rich with nature. My family comes from that region. And I can tell you, we will not deal with that in any way. There's not going to be any digging. And if you want to show support to the European Commission, please don't do that, because people of Serbia are against it. And this government is. So that's a clear message to the students. Okay, we want you to have democracy, but this project is important to us. Okay, you're against it, but I mean, there's not gonna be any digging for sure.
You touch a very sensitive point, of course, because we all love our gadgets here, and all these gadgets, we won't have them without lithium. But wherever lithium is extracted, be that in Serbia, be it in Portugal, be it in Argentina, or wherever, it can't be done without destructing the environment. Do you guys follow Bangladesh? The revolution that happened there, and how students essentially took over government?
Well, honestly, no, because there is so much happening in Serbia. That
then let's not make it more complicated.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah.
Okay. Then another thing I wanted to ask is, when you're running as a list, you need a great campaign. I mentioned it, but you need content also. You need programs. You need content. You need a program. What will be the main lines in an electoral campaign for the students' list, or what is already visible?
I mean, firstly, we don't have snap elections, and I think it's important to say we will cross that bridge when we come to it. So I don't think it's the focus now, because if we get the snap elections, we can talk about it public. But for now, there's no discussion about it, because what are we preparing for when we don't have elections? So maybe it's a topic for the future.
Fair answer. Thank you very much. Point taken. We wanted to open to questions from the audience, and we're venturing in the territory of politics here. So really, but also all other topics can be debated. Please take advantage of the situation. Do you have any questions here? Nobody? Really? I mean, like,
I think Borko can speak.
Yes, please. Yes.
Sorry for using this opportunity again, because it really is unique. So I'm really using the chance. I have two questions. One is for the student representative. One is for you too. I'm assuming that there were actual discussions within your movement on whether to affiliate with a party, on whether to have ties of some kind or another. And I understand why you want to keep this clean slate for everyone who might be running, and also for just being in public. But how can you then ensure that while you're keeping a distance from parties that might be progressive and working towards some of the same goals that you have, how can you make sure that you and your group and your groups still keep a distance from the others? Because while I do believe that it's important that people choose their ideology, there are some ideologies that are just inherently against what you're working towards. So this is for you. And then my question for your two parties is, in our countries, if I may say so, not referring to Austria, but to the Balkans. I feel that many young people and politically progressive people have been hesitant to join political parties because of some, also trade unions, because of some mistrust. And this has been there for years, so this is not a new development. What are your parties doing to make this, to be more open? Because what I hear here, what I hear Alexa saying is that they're very well aware that change doesn't happen by Saturday or in a year or 2 or 5. So there is this, what in German we call langer Atem. So there is an understanding that you have to put a lot of work in. And this is, I think, an obstacle for many other progressive movements in Europe, that we try to promise that we can deliver change, but then the youngsters don't really get that it's just a very long road and not something they will see immediately. So what do you do to attract these people, because they're there and they have accomplished a lot in this short time?
Well, Alexa first.
Okay. Can you rephrase the question? I'm not sure I got the. Just shortly, I got it, but I don't know how to answer it. So can you just rephrase it, please?
How are you taking measures or trying to keep your distance from, I'm going to say it just totally, the right wingers, because they're the ones who are very much working against what you're working, but also against what their other colleagues on the panel are working.
You mean the right-wing parties or
right-wing movements, right-wing parties? Yes.
Okay. So I mean, there is no communication between us. I mean, we're just trying to do our thing, and if we see some irregularities, we immediately move them out of the protests. And I'm part of the safety work, like work groups. So in protests, we wear vests, and if we see something that is problematic, maybe some flags or T-shirts or any people that are problematic, we kindly ask them to leave the protest, because we want to separate ourselves from that. And honestly, maybe in the beginning we had some problems, but people just see them and ask them, can you please just move away? This is not our culture. This is not our message we want to send out. So honestly, there is no problem with right-wing parties or movements, organizations. We didn't have any problems, honestly.
Thank you very much. And yes, how do you guys attract students, for example? But right now, probably not. But what's the plan? What's the plan?
The trust. We need to rebuild the trust in the institutions, for first, in the electoral process, and in the opposition itself. That's necessary steps. How we do it as a democratic party? Well, I think at this momentum in Serbia, this is not a good. It is not a good approach to impose party agenda, because this is the momentum to support democratic change. Because I know it's very difficult for you to understand that, but we have 10 years of anti-EU propaganda. We have a pro-Russian narrative by the regime. Everything, we have anti-opposition narrative. Borko said the names that they gave us. So do you think that's normal? No, it's not. So unnormal circumstances, sorry, but unnormal solutions. That's necessary, because that are the circumstances. So how to fight? I think it's a very big question for the party, and we have internal discussion on with this question for several months. And actually, we are doing quite good, because we have over 600 new members of the party during these 7 months. So it's quite a lot for the opposition party in Serbia. But I think we need political actors need to realize that they need to give up control and truly empower the people. So this party centrist approach is not an option here. if you want to have high mobilization, and we need that to change a regime. So we need to find a way of thinking to democratic co-creation. So we need to empower our citizens that they will be the part of this process, the part of democratic change. That is the only way, because everything else is just a fake hope. So I think that's only approach, and it's not easy for the parties to do that, because you need to lose the power, this little part of the power that you have. But I think it's not a big price. So, as I said, unnormal circumstances needs unnormal solutions. We are not regular political. We don't have a regular political life in Serbia. That's a fact.
But Borko, the kids on the streets and you as a party certainly reflect every now and then, like, how could we make them members of our party?
Yeah.
But what comes out of that reflection?
If the kids are united, they would never be divided. There's an old song.
So run for the students list.
Yeah, but I think that, well, don't get me started on this. It's a long road, you know. It's in a highly anti-political society, intoxicated society, in which a politician means a traitor, a crook, a thief. And why? Because of the mass media, of the regime tabloids, of everything. And most people say, oh, we don't watch it, we don't read it. But actually, when you go deeper, there are actually arguments against opposition leaders, and people from the opposition are actually what they heard in those media, on those media, in those newspapers. And that's highly destructive for the social fabric of our country. I believe in other countries is in the region is not quite different. So anyone who joins opposition parties in Serbia is a hero. Anyone, not just young people. Why? Because they're risking everything. They're not, just standing on the side of the road and watching how cars are moving. Train Spotting, another good movie. You understand? So people get involved. They get into this, and they risk a lot. Not in Belgrade. You go around Serbia, you hear destinies of people who actually risked everything by stepping into the opposition, political opposition. Their kids were kicked out of kindergartens. They were kicked out of their jobs. They were forced to move their towns or else. And of course, I hate to say it, but also my humble example when I almost got murdered in Kruševac in 2018 by SNS thugs with knuckle dusters. So why I'm saying this? Not because, this is the path that we have chosen. The thing is that when you approach young people, you have two options. One is that you try to, tell them, oh, listen, our program for the youth is following, like a tradesman, like a salesman, traveling salesman. No, it doesn't work. They know what they want. They fight for what they want. What they want is what our country and what we all want. So the question is, how are we going to break autocracy, dictatorship in Serbia? How? Of course, peacefully. This is what all we agree. But we need to see what is the best option. And the best option is actually something that time brings now at the table. We can be ignorant, we can believe in unicorns. But actually, time will make sure that, yes, we will have to talk and coordinate and work together in order to win. It has always been that, and it will always be like that in, let's say, at least in the Balkans. I don't know for other regions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have tons of questions still, but this is for you in the audience. Do you, any questions? Otherwise, I ask my questions. Hedi, please.
I have a question. Heidi Justo from FEPS. I have a question for Alexa. I know that one peculiarity of the student movement is its decision making, which is through plenaries. Now you're asking, for example, elections. somehow have to prepare yourself in case there are going to be elections. And I would say that the stakes are going higher and higher. So you would need to have a more flexible decision making process, because plenaries take time. So I was wondering whether you are discussing this, whether you see some changes in the way you are organizing yourself and you are making decisions together. Thank you.
Well, only time will tell what is gonna be our decision on the snap elections and the students list. But to be honest, we're taking this fight day by day, because one day we're talking about a list, possible candidates, and the day after that somebody is arrested and accused of terrorism. So we are young, we have very high emotions, and we are not that mature enough, I think, to think that long ahead. And our decision making is in the moment. We like to listen to the people, what do they want to see from us, because it's all about the support. This movement would be nothing without the support of people on the streets, professors, workers, unions. So we take it day by day. Do we discuss it maybe on the halls, in the streets? Yes, but nothing official. I'm just one student from Serbia, and there's thousands of us. And when we make a decision, it's going to be public, and I just can't speak behalf of all of the students, because it would be unfair. I was voted to come here, but maybe sometime somebody else is gonna come, and you will never see me again. So we don't have leaders. That's the main point. We're gonna change and change, and yeah. So but there is no particular answer to your question, because we take it day by day.
I was about to ask a very similar question, but as it is not exactly the same way, I will still ask it. Earlier on, I used a little bit hesitantly the word healing, and that is certainly something which is based in your approach, also in these plenaries, in sitting together. In yes, it's not very efficient. Yes, it takes a long time, but you're doing this. Could you just, like, for those who haven't heard about, like, how does this really work? How is decision making really taking place in these plenaries? And could at least parts of it, could you imagine them to project them further on a bigger level, or is this always taking place in very, very small circles?
Okay, I hope you're ready.
Go for an extensive answer. You're entitled to them.
Yeah, so every faculty has its own plenum, to say it like that. And it's like an assembly of students. We're talking daily and making decisions. So we have some propositions from every faculty, protests, proposition about students list, what we're going to do on the 28th, what we want to make public, what we don't want to make public, how we handle media, communication, safety. So every faculty has its meetings every day with worker groups and plenums. So if one faculty, particularly Faculty of Political Sciences, if we make a proposition, we want to make some action on the 28th, there is a meeting 3 times a week where all faculties from University of Belgrade come together in one place, and there are delegates like myself here. So every faculty can have a vote. So it's simply majority, and we can just, I don't know, put that idea to other universities, if that's the plan, to do something on a country level. If it's an action by the city of Belgrade, that stops there. We have daily meetings. We want to keep the unity. So the structure is not that complicated, but to make decisions, it's a lot of work. And a lot of faculties, I mean, we simply don't agree because we are all studying different things. Somebody is studying to be a social worker, somebody is trying to be a PE teacher, somebody is trying to be, I don't know, something else. So it's normal, but that's the beauty of democracy. We can't all agree, but at the end, there is unity in our decisions. So yeah, there is a complicated system, and can we make it better? Of course, but you need to understand that this movement is lasting only for 6 to 7 months, and in a political career, that's nothing. So we build everything from nothing. So I would say our system and organization is very successful because you see the results.
It certainly is, and I think it is proof also. If you invest all that time, you do believe in democracy, don't you? Xenia, you wanted to react.
Yes, well, actually, this is the main question in political science about democracy. What do we want, participation or efficiency? So this is the main dilemma. In case of Serbia, we need participation. We need mobilization and support of the citizens, not efficiency. Vucic is very efficient, but not in a good way. So participation, yes. Efficiency, okay, we can talk about that later. But for now, we need participation because we need a very strong and high mobilization of the citizens to beat them.
Thank you very much. Last opportunity for questions. At the back, now they're all coming out. Two questions. Last opportunity at the back.
There's one with a white shirt and one with the blue shirt in the last row. Best microphone in the world, please. Respect.
It's muted. Now it should be on. Yes. Hello. My name is Bastian. I work for the PES group, so the socialist group in the Committee of the Regions, which is an EU institution here representing cities and regions. And first of all, my congrats as well to the student movement. I fully understand why you want to stay independent from political parties. I think it will become more complicated when you talk about pension reforms and so on. At some point where you will, for snap elections, very quickly have to come up with a program. But what I would like to know is the difference on the national and the local level. Because, of course, the main goal at the moment should be a change of the regime on the national level. But there, of course, is a lot of support on the local level still by mayors, by local representatives. How do you want to approach to try to achieve this change as well? And would you dare, in this case, and that would be my advice as a political advisor, but I'm not here to advise you, of course, that cooperation with political parties might be needed on the local level, because on the local level, usually the way people vote, the way people are represented is much more complicated and much more personalized, let's say, than on a national level. But I would be very interested in knowing your opinion. Thank you.
Borko really liked that advice. So we've seen on a local level that, okay, the students and the opposition, they can come together if there are talks. And if I don't know, it's a hard question because we don't have a stance for now for the parliament elections. But you saw an example, we can work together, but for now we are not working together. Maybe in the future, I really don't know. But I think it's a good example that the elections in Kosjerić and Zaječar, it was really close. And if we had fair and free elections, we would have won. And we would see by example.
Just interrupt you. There was a student list already in those local elections.
Yes, in the local.
Yeah. Yeah. So we would see an example on a local level how it would pan out, and maybe we could take that into consideration to do that on a bigger, much more scale size. But for now, we're sticking to our stigma, and I don't know, maybe something is gonna change. As I said, never say never, but Maybe we are gonna talk, maybe not. We will see.
Very fair point. That's where we stand. There was another
Yes.
question. You already have the microphone.
I already have the mic. Georgia here. I work for the Greens and I'm also a member of the Green Left Front in Serbia, just to state it clearly. I have a question which is related. Someone had a question before that we had Milosevic overturned 25 years ago and now we have sort of a similar dilemma. And then for me, it's fundamentally important question. It's not only to overthrow the regime, but what kind of future do we want? The student representatives were cycling to Strasbourg, running to Brussels, and then they refused to take the photo below the EU flag. You meet EU commissioners, you are angry at the commission for something, and then you meet the commission and you don't want to, publish it or say. How do you expect the European Commission to do something in your favor? And it was way before Rio Tinto project was on the list to do something that you ask from it if you don't want to take a basic step in that regard. It's the simple respect of the host whom you want to go, because you can also, run to Moscow via Belarus, and there are other options. And second thing is, I think in your fight in Serbia domestically, one question is, of course, the question of political parties and how it can evolve. And we have the question of Kosjeric, which is beautiful in terms of how the unified list of all local actors could almost achieve the victory. But the problem that shed the light on the student participation then was something else. And then I look at CRTA representatives here, and we have CRTA representative here, which is an NGO that monitors elections, that all of a sudden, all your plenums accused of, working for SNS, even though it's the organization that monitors independently the elections. So how do you think that you can go further in terms of monitoring and cooperating with different actors in terms of overthrowing SNS if you, on a first hurdle, discredit the partners? Thank you.
Well, what a long question. Yeah, it's a tough one, but we are here to have talks and to have open dialogue. My mind went blank. What was the first one?
The first one was about meeting
EU flag and pictures with EU flag.
Taking pictures with EU institutions, coming here, meeting EU institution representatives, then not really publishing about it or not even taking.
Yeah. So.
It's not symbolic.
Yeah. So speaking about that specifically, that question. Okay, are we making a decision that is contradictory? I don't know how to say it. Yes, because we're not political parties. We can change opinions in different situations, and if a moment is not right, we are not gonna do that. And yes, we were mad and we were kind of, let's say, shocked when Rio Tinto was a strategic plan for the European Commission, and we're based on emotions as well. We are human. We are no politicians, as I said before. So, okay, no, no. Okay, okay, you got the point. We don't have a political program that we go by. There is no ideology behind us. And these questions are meant to divide us and separate us. So it's just based on the momentum and where our movement is. So because there is no clear stance from the students, are we going left, right, Europe, this, USA, blah, blah, blah. There is nothing like that, because we want to change a system, not to be a political party. And that's the main difference in that.
Yeah.
The second one was
and oh my god, now my mind went blank. Could you repeat just the second one in?
I think we didn't make an official announcement. If you can find it, maybe we can talk about it. But I think, because there is thousands of informations and it's impossible to just. Okay, I didn't.
You don't know. Okay,
Didn't see that
fair enough.
because
That's-
it's impossible for me to get all the information. So I would gladly speak about that, but I just can't. It's one of me, and I represent all of the students now, and I just can't speak on behalf of everybody.
Fair enough. It's coherent with your approach, I think, and the way you are organized. Indeed. So thank you very much, Xenia. The politics bot in you is answering now.
About
the
this
not human one.
European flag, really, it's a ridiculous question. You know what is the situation in Serbia if you have a picture with the European flag. We had in former, we had several sentences about we are going here and we are called Piculici. Actually, that is quite creative because they don't have so much creativity. So it's not about the European flag. It's actually what you are fighting for. They are fighting for the European values, and we know that. No, they are fighting for that, and they were to the Strasbourg and to Brussels, not to Moscow. That's also the message, and we know it. And also, I can have a question. We had the first draft of the program was to have the representative of the European Commission. And the representative of the European Commission didn't want to be the part of the political panel of Borko and me. Sorry, but this is the two-way street. If you want to have the support, clear support, to be loudly and clearly, sorry, but you need to be loud and clear also. We have that in the European Parliament, but you know that we don't have in the European Commission that. We don't have clear stand of European Commission regarding protests. Marta Kos has made some differences, and that's the fact also, because she openly speak about some things and openly support some things. But if you want to be open and you have this request from one side, please make that request for this other side also. How should I defend and Borko also because a representative of the European Commission didn't want to be the part of the political panel? Sorry, but what are you? You're the member of the executive government. You're a European Commission. You are not a politician. What are you then? So this is the game. It is the same game, and that's why we have this situation.
Is this yes? Best microphone in the world. We're already 10 minutes over time. I would suggest. I'm a ding 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 ding. Nah. You were okay. Please do.
But no, thank you. Maja Smrkola, I'm political desk for Serbia in the European Commission in DG Enest, and I would just like to clarify, Ms. Markovic, that actually Mr. Plesiti, who was indeed supposed to participate, had to travel to Serbia, and this is why he had to cancel. So it was not be here. And maybe also I will just use this opportunity. I know that a lot of criticism has been addressed to the Commission, and also, I'm not a person authorized to speak on behalf of the Commission, but just in terms of in general terms, I think, we have come out publicly several times and also explained that we follow very closely. And trust me, also me personally, I have worked many hours overtime in the last couple of months, and also we have addressed the problematic issues that have happened in the context of the protest. We came out publicly when it was about the violence against students. Also, we explained our expectations as regards the allegations of the use of sound cannon at the 15 March protest. So just to clarify some of the points, and just to explain that indeed it's not because European Commission did not want to be at this panel, but it was just for objective reasons. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. With that, I would like to conclude here. I know now it's really starting. We're still around. We're still around. We have a reception, and you're all invited to the reception now, which also means keep the debate ongoing. This is the opportunity. All the speakers will be there, and I guess you are open to dialogue, aren't you? That's why you're here. Thank you very much. Now, thank you for your attendance, and we close. need my glasses for that. We close with a few closing remarks by an SND member of the European Parliament from Croatia, Tonio Picula. Please, a warm welcome, and the floor is yours. And I guess I need to share the microphone.
Just small objection. You will remember to pronounce my name forever if you remember pizza. It's a pizzola, double Z. Anyway, but I would like to thank to FEPS and Friedrich Heber Stiftung from Belgrade to organize and summon us here in the Brussels. I think it's a very important meeting. What is this? If Donald Trump is allowed to say that, why not me, in a way? Anyway, thank to all panelists and thank to you for moderating this conference. If I may say, I'm 64 old now and I've been in European Parliament for the last 12 years, but I still find a room to extend my knowledge about things I'm done, and first of all, politics. And I'm still curious as a child, especially when we comment a process like this in the Serbia these last, I think, 8 months since a tragic event in Novi Sad. Many questions were asked, some answers we have heard, and what is good that it's a still floating impression that this process is far from over, in a way. It's easy to conclude that because we know that in the last 25 years, let's say, beginning of the millennia, so many things have happened, not only in the Serbia or Western Balkans, but in the world. And it's good that we did not comment overall situation in the Europe and on the global scale, but it has influence on what's going on here in the Europe and the Western Balkans in a way. As Sasha said, Alex, sorry, he said that, and I think find similarities with the European Union. The students are struggling to keep a unity. The same goes for the European Union. In this moment, we are struggling for the unity in the European Union. And it's a very painful and long-winding process. I don't know, frankly speaking, when Serbia will enter the European Union, but absolutely sure about one thing. In that moment, probably Sunday, Monday, Serbia will look very different than it looks now, as well as European Union. Because it's impossible to go forward thinking about European Union or Serbia or I don't know, some other countries, and not be aware that this is a time of tremendous changes. And everything is under the pressure to change. So for me, the title of this, our panel gathering meetings, Journey of Hope, is the right one. But let's hope that the journey will end achieving desirable goals. And it's not for sure. It's not for sure. And I think that students' movement in Serbia, I think they brought a completely new dynamic on political scene. It's absolutely for sure. But also it opens many processes, and now we need to reflect what does it really mean? Because it didn't happen in the vacuum. Yeah, of course, the new generations there, they got right to reflect their own future in the country. And they would like, of course, it's completely natural to emancipate themselves and everything wrong in the Serbia and to bring new quality. But of course, I don't want to depress anyone. Alexa, it's much easier said than done. But you got right on your new beginning. Wish you nothing but the very best. But don't forget that as a number of the people in the Serbia have invested their life, their efforts to change country before. They are your allies. Yes, you got right to be picky, but not too picky. Because as I think Madame Sofia said that your movement is absolutely outstanding because it brought an important dimension. Student movement rebound society inside. because there is a lot of hope now, a lot of energy, because people want to see changes. And finally, I would like to talk more, not as a politician, what I am. Absolutely, I don't want to escape that image, but I'm professor of sociology in a way, of course. And it's my personal experience and as a member of academia that it's not easy, but it's possible to topple down dictator, authoritarian guy, yes, mostly guy, not girls. But it's much harder to de-rooted circumstances which led him or her to the power at the first place. So even right now, when you are relatively far from taking power, you need to think about so many things you need to do right after you become privileged to run your country. And final famous words, I was not only member of the European Parliament, member of Croatian Parliament, Minister of Foreign Affairs, I was a mayor of a town in Croatia. And Alexa, everything is ideology. Even when you think about how to get rid of, I don't know, some problems in utilities, how to improve the roads and how to combine your city budget with some debts you need to pay, you are thinking in a political way. Of course, it's a lot of technicity, but everything is politics in a way. So you are right, in the European Union, there is a parliament. Thank you, Borko, for recognizing that. We are elected from citizens of the European Union, and maybe we are more free to talk and to put a finger on some wrongdoings and express our opinions. Commission and Council, they are something else. You're quite right. I'm not happy with the decision done by Commission, not one, but many of them. But we need to find a way how to work together, to find a way how to give a boost to enlargement process, which is under the tremendous pressure. I'm very happy, parliamentarians and standing reporter, because I deliver report on Serbia. It took me only one meeting and 3.5 hours. And my colleagues helped me from other political groups, and we did it. Unfortunately, for example, Northern Macedonia, it's in limbo, not only politically, but unfortunately, my colleague from European Parliament now is struggling how to deliver a report on the Northern Macedonia, because there's a lot of disagreement how to do it. So Serbia is not in a problem like some other countries, has tremendous potentials, and it's my thought, and I'm very sincere, that it's the single most important country on the Western Balkans. If you produce changes in the Serbia, it will be much easier for some other politicians in surroundings to maybe achieve what you also want for your people. And of course, we are here to assist you, but from time to time, you need to be open to hear something maybe you dislike. Thank you.
Tonino, thank you very much. Apologies for mispronouncing your... Pizzula. I'm able to learn. I'm able to learn. Thank you very much for your attendance. Keep following what happens in Serbia. Keep following what happens on Saturday. And an immense thank you for you all the speakers who were here, that you traveled to Brussels today, a few days before this mobilization. Really a deep thank you from all of us. And keep the discussion ongoing. Perhaps a last applause to all the speakers, because really... I was saying keep the discussion ongoing, and for that, the reception is waiting for you.